Welcome to this instruction video on deploying the Social Campaign Manager to the IBM Cloud. In this video, we will cover the requirements, what you need to install on your desktop before starting this process. We will discuss the IBM Cloud Services necessary to run the application. Then, we will show how to find those services and how to create them. Next, we will build the application and deploy it to IBM Cloud. And finally, we will link the deployed application to the previously created services. So what do we need to run the app? First, if you don't have one already, log into cloud.ibm.com and set up an IBM Cloud account. You will need to download the IBM Cloud CLI tool. You can find it under the following link. Other than that, you will need Git, Node.js version 8, and the OpenSSL tool. Now let's look inside of the Social Campaign Manager application. The SCM app is basically a Node.js application which connects to Watson Assistant as the primary driver of the conversation, the Watson Natural Language Understanding Service, which does the sentiment analysis on user chat responses, the Cloud and NoSQL database, which holds the user responses, and a Redis memory store to keep track of the conversation context. The application runs in the Cloud Foundry container and connects to its respective IBM services. Because it's a Cloud Foundry app, each service needs a Cloud Foundry alias in the same region and space as the Node.js application to be able to connect to it. This is going to be important in the last step of this instruction video, where we connect the services to the deployed application. Now let's create our first IBM Cloud service. For this part, you will need to open the cloud.ibm.com homepage. On the top of the screen, you can find the button with the words Create Resource. Click on it, and then in the catalog search box, type in Databases for Redis, and select it from the drop-down list. First, we'll need to name our service something relevant and easy to find, let's say SCM Redis Service. We can then stick to the same naming convention in all of our other services. Because I already have a number of services in my list, I will also give this service a tag. Tags are useful to distinguish services from each other, and then they can be easily filtered out in the list and other places throughout the platform. You can also give this service a tag like development, production, or test. For our reference, we'll give it a tag with the letters SCM. Another important step is to select the right region for your services. There's a number of supported regions you can choose from. We will choose London for all of our services. It's not important which one you choose as long as you keep the same one for all of them. Most services get created instantaneously, but in busy times, some services may need a couple of minutes for the provisioning to take place. In the resource list, you can see the created service and its current status. Next, let's create the NLU service. We will put it in the London region and name it SCM NLU service. From here, you can go back to the resource list or back to the catalog to create the Cloud End service. Again, we will rename our service, change our region to London, give it the SCM tag, and we are going to change the authentication method to IAM and legacy credentials. What this does, it gives the service the ability to authenticate using the user and a password instead of just the typical IAM tokens. Next, we will create the Watson Assistant service. Again, check in the region plan, renaming it to SCMWA service and giving it a tag. Watson requires a quick configuration here. To do that, press Launch Watson Assistant. Once the page loads, we will need to remove the sample skill it comes with. First, go to My First Assistant and remove the skill from the assistant using the menu on the right-hand side. Then in Skills, remove the skill. The last step is to create a new dialog skill called workspace_picker in all caps. And that's it. You can now close the page. Back on the dashboard, click on Services to see the provisioning status of all your created services. Some might still be provisioning, just like Redis here, but that's okay. They might need another minute or so. We'll now build and deploy the application and push it to IBM Cloud. And once that's all done, all the services should be ready to go. Let's open the SCM's GitHub page. There you can find the Git clone URL under the green code button. By now you should have Git and IBM Cloud CLI installed on your system. If you don't, you can pause the video and install it now. And if you do, let's go. First, we will need to clone the application source code to a local directory using the git clone command. Then, we will open the newly created Social Campaign Manager repository directory and run npm install. This will install all the necessary Node.js dependencies to build and run the application. Next, we will need to create the encryption public and private keys. We will start by going to server/keys directory and typing in the OpenSSL generate RSA command. We will name our private key private.pem and our public key public.pem. These are used by the encryption service when storing sensitive data into the database, for example, user IDs. Next, run the command npm run build to build the application's front-end components. This process includes minifying the AngularJS frontend based on the Webpack configuration and optionally the environment variables set in the .env file. Next, we're going to need to open some files. Let's open the application source code using your favorite IDE like VS Code or Atom. What we'll need to do is find the manifest.yaml.sample file and rename it to manifest.yml. And these environment variables are there just for reference, so you can remove them all. In your manifest file, you will also need to change the name of the application, like in my example, peters-scm-app, and then the roots would contain your URLs to the application. Typically, it's yourapplication_name.region.mybluemix.net. The EUGB domain reflects the region of the Cloud Foundry application and the connected services. So for example, if you put the services in Frankfurt, the EUGB domain would need to be changed to EU-DE. So now we're ready to deploy the application to the cloud. Use the IBM Cloud login command to log into the console application. If you're connected to more than one account, just like I am, you will need to select the correct one, which holds the previously created services. We will then use the IBM Cloud target command to target the correct resource group. In my case, it's the standard default. Then, using the IBM Cloud target --cf, we will select the current region and space for our application. If all you have is a single space, this should be automatically populated for you. Lastly, we will type in the IBM Cloud cf push command, which takes our directory files and deploys them into the Cloud Foundry application using the Node.js build pack from the manifest file. This means it will know to look for the package.json file and run npm install whenever it installs the application. Once the IBM Cloud cf push command finishes, you will see that the application start was unsuccessful. That's because there are no services linked to the application yet. The app doesn't know where to look for them and therefore fails to start. We will now sort it out by linking the services to the app. The last step is to create the connection by creating the Cloud Foundry aliases for each of the services. We will do that by navigating to the Peters SCM app application dashboard and pressing Connections in the list on the left-hand side. Here, press on the blue Create Connections button and select one of the previously created services from the list. press Next and leave the default values for access role for connection as Manager and the service ID as Auto-Generate. After connecting a service, you will see a pop-up that says it is required to restage the application if you bind new services. It will ask you if you'd like to do that now. As restaging takes a couple of minutes because it reinstalls all the application's dependencies, we will click Cancel for now and connect all the other services first. And only then, at the end, we will restage the application as required. Let's make connections for the other 3 services. After connecting all the services and restaging, the application should now have a green tick and have a status that says running. On the overview page, you can see the overall health of the application, the listed connections on the right-hand side, and the current memory usage. You can now press on the Visit the App URL link to open the application. And there you have it. You can now create a new questionnaire by going to the New Campaign page and giving it a name and a nice description. To start a chat, you will need to fill in all the fields on the form and press Publish. Only a published campaign creates a Watson Assistant dialog skill. The homepage will list all the published campaigns and all the drafts. You can have as many drafts as you like, but the number of published campaigns depends on your Watson Assistant plan. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up or comment down below. There's a lot more fun content on our channel. You should go check it out. Bye.